Yo! What's up, guys? You're about to dive into a story so wild, so twisted, you won't even think about scrolling away. I'm talking about something that snuck into our lives, changed the world, and straight up hooked. Millions without most of us even noticing. Yeah, I'm talking cigarettes, but not just your regular people smoke kinda story. Nah, this is about war, addiction, propaganda, and the kind of stuff that shapes entire generations. Picture this. It's 1914. Europe's about to explode into chaos. The world's about to flip upside down. And the cigarette, man, it's about to go from a shady little vice to the unofficial symbol of heroism. How does that happen? How does a little stick of tobacco become one of the most powerful products on the planet? Buckle up. You're in for a ride. Before the world went nuts for these smokes, cigarettes were basically the outcasts of society. We're talking criminals, foreigners, street rogues, basically anyone your grandma wouldn't want in her kitchen. In the US, people looked at cigarettes like they were a one-way ticket to ruining the republic itself. Sounds dramatic. It was. It was. One New York Times article back in 1886 straight up said that if Americans started smoking cigarettes, the downfall of the country was right around the corner. And Henry Ford, yeah, he wasn't chill either. He linked criminals to smoking, saying most misfits had a cigarette dangling from their lips. Health reformers joined the party too, warning that smoking would destroy a generation of young Americans. Temperance activists, basically the OG health police, compared it to alcohol. So, cigarettes weren't just frowned upon. They were practically evil. But hold up. Just as the world was about to double down on prohibition, war came along and flipped the script. World War I hits. And suddenly, cigarettes are everywhere. Soldiers in the trenches. They weren't just dealing with mud, blood, and fear. They were handed cigarettes like rations. Why? Because nicotine calmed their nerves. Simple as that. Imagine being surrounded by chaos, death, and explosions every second of the day. A cigarette became your small slice of sanity. Militaries basically became the world's first major drug dealers, turning soldiers into lifelong smokers without them even realizing it. General John Pershing of the U.S. Army didn't mince words. You ask me what we need to win this war. Tobacco, as much as bullets. Yeah, that's right. Tobacco was as important as ammo, and it wasn't just the US, Britain, France, Germany, all on the same page. The cigarette wasn't a vice anymore. It was a morale booster, a soldier's lifeline. Fast forward to the war ending. Millions of soldiers come home, hooked on nicotine. And guess who's waiting? Advertisers. Advertisers. They saw an army of addicts ready for action, and they went full beast mode. Chesterfield cigarettes rolled out ads showing soldiers puffing away, making it look heroic. Smoking. Now, patriotic. Freedom, democracy, heroism, all wrapped up in a little brown and white stick. Suddenly, a cigarette wasn't a vice. It was a symbol, and it worked. People didn't just smoke, they identified as smokers. It became part of your social identity. Skip a puff. You weren't just quitting, you were skipping the cultural ritual that tied you to bravery, camaraderie, and the American dream itself. It wasn't just the US. In Britain, cigarette packs included collectible cards showing soldiers from different branches of the military. It was genius marketing gamifying addiction. You wanted the full set. You had to keep buying. Across Europe, the cigarette was embedding itself into society. By the end of World War II, the numbers were insane. 92 billion cigarettes a year just for the military in World War II alone. Civilian demand shot up too, creating shortages, panic buying, and hoarding. Even women were swept into the craze. With men off at war, women joined factories and support industries. Ads targeted them too, telling them smoke Camels, it's what your boyfriend wants overseas. The cigarette wasn't just a male symbol anymore, it was everywhere. Here's where it gets wild. Lucky Strike. Yeah, they literally changed their package colors to pretend they were sacrificing for the war. Green went to red and white, claiming it saved copper for bullets. Real story? They just wanted a sleek, modern look. But the public bought the patriotism angle. Brilliant move. Meanwhile, Germany had a different vibe. Nazis publicly opposed smoking, talk about ironic boot, still gave cigarettes to soldiers, because morale mattered more than ideology. Anti-smoking efforts became associated with authoritarianism, so post-war Germans smoked more, seeing health warnings as a fascist leftover. Crazy, right? Post-World War II, America didn't just export democracies, they exported cigarettes. Under the Marshall Plan, millions of packs flooded Europe. Free cigarettes for a war-torn continent. It helped restart the economy, supposedly, but really it hooked a whole generation. In Greece, cheap US cigarettes crushed local industries, but governments needed the tax money, so no complaints mattered. Smoking became more than a habit, it became a global culture. By the late 1980s, around 80% of the world's tobacco consumption was cigarette-based. That little stick had conquered the globe, and it all traces back to the wars and clever marketing. Now, pause for a sec. Think about what we just uncovered. Wars, government programs, aggressive marketing, social identity, all combined to turn a dangerous vice into a global phenomenon. And here's the kicker. Many people never even realized it. Cigarettes weren't just popular, they were engineered to be addictive. Soldiers got hooked, returned to May, and shared the habit. Ads reinforced it, making it patriotic. Families, friends, co-workers, all unknowingly joined the cycle. And here's the chilling thought: millions of lives were quietly shortened. Yet, for decades, society celebrated it. Heroism, bravery, freedom, all mixed with something deadly. Smoking became a social ritual. Movies, media, and ads glamorized it. Hollywood made the cigarette cool, rebellious, seductive. Think Humphrey Bogart or James Dean. Every puff said, "I'm independent. I'm daring. I'm part of something bigger." Even decades later, that cultural imprint remains. Teens, young adults, and peer groups continue the cycle. Cigarettes became symbols of solidarity, rebellion, and identity long after the wars ended. Today, smoking rates are declining in the US, but globally, still a huge issue. In Europe, Asia, and parts of Africa, cigarettes remain embedded in social, political, and economic life. Governments tax them heavily. Companies market cleverly. The cycle keeps spinning, and while anti-smoking campaigns exist, the emotional and cultural hook remains. Millions still remember the cinematic, heroic, freedom fighter imagery of the cigarette. That's the power of decades of psychological conditioning. Let's not sugarcoat it. Cigarettes kill millions every year. Cancer, heart disease, lung issues, real human suffering. Yet, the narrative of bravery, rebellion, and patriotism keeps it appealing in some cultures. It's a testament to how powerful social identity, storytelling, and psychology can be. One product, a century-long campaign, and the scars of 2 world wars created a global habit. That's insane if you think about it. So the next time you see someone lighting up, or even just a pack on the table, remember this. It is not just a stick of tobacco. It's a piece of history. It's a story of war, propaganda, marketing genius, social pressure, and human vulnerability. It's about soldiers finding comfort in chaos, advertisers exploiting emotion, and societies unknowingly normalizing addiction. It's a lesson in power, persuasion, and how exactly human behavior can be shaped. And here's a twist. The cigarette story isn't over. Today, vaping, e-cigarettes, and nicotine products are the new frontier. The same tactics, identity, marketing, emotional appeal are being used all over again. New wars, new products, same playbook. Stick around, because in the next chapter, we'll uncover how the cigarette's ghost lives on, shaping habits, markets, and societies even in the digital age. But before we dive deeper, think about this. Every choice we make is influenced by history, psychology, and culture. Smoking isn't just a personal decision, it's part of a centuries-old story of power, addiction, and survival. If this blew your mind, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.